Have you ever been drawn to someone who just doesn't seem to register your existence? No matter what you do, no matter how present you try to be, she looks right through you. Here's something worth considering before you try anything else. The problem usually isn't how much effort you're putting in, it's the way you're showing up entirely. What most men don't realize is that love and attraction don't always announce themselves right away. A woman who seems distant or closed off isn't necessarily uninterested. She may simply not have felt a reason to look closer yet. And more often than not, it isn't a grand gesture that changes that. It's something quieter. A shift in energy, a change in how you carry yourself, a small but meaningful adjustment in how you move through a room. Those subtle things have a way of unlocking something unexpected. So if you've ever stood in front of someone and silently told yourself you didn't have a shot, stay with this. Because what you're about to hear could genuinely change the way she sees you. Everyone deserves to be noticed. Everyone deserves to feel valued. And sometimes the smallest internal adjustments create the largest emotional ripples on the outside. Let's start with eye contact, but not the awkward, nervous kind most people default to. We're talking about something intentional, something warm and grounded. There's actually a technique that most men have never heard of. Direct your gaze slightly toward her left eye rather than bouncing between both. Research suggests this can stimulate the release of oxytocin, the hormone associated with trust, closeness, and emotional bonding. The goal isn't to stare her down or make her uncomfortable. It's to offer a look that quietly communicates something real. A look that says you're present, you're calm, and she matters in this moment. Words can be rehearsed, but a gaze that carries genuine warmth is nearly impossible to fake. When she feels that, she remembers you. Now here's something that gets overlooked almost entirely. Your scent. A well-chosen fragrance does something no conversation opener can. It embeds itself in emotional memory. Scent is one of the most powerful triggers the brain has, and when she catches a trace of yours, it unconsciously pulls her back to the moments she spent near you. Choose something that reflects who you actually are. If you tend to be calm and steady, a woody or musky base suits that energy well. If you carry more intensity or mystery, something darker with spice or citrus can communicate that without a single word. Think of your fragrance as an invisible signature. It does subtle work long after you've left the room. Then there's the matter of how you feel in your own body. Nervousness is natural, especially around someone who feels a little out of reach, but anxiety is one of the most effective attraction blockers that exists. When you're tense, it shows in everything. Your posture, your pace, your voice. Natural approaches to managing that tension are worth exploring. Things like the calming amino acid found in green tea, adaptogens like ashwagandha that bring cortisol down over time, or simply prioritizing sleep with the help of magnesium. A man who feels settled in himself moves differently, he speaks differently, and that quality, that relaxed, grounded presence registers with women at an almost subconscious level. Even something as simple as a brief conversation with someone who genuinely cares about you before a date, a parent, a close friend, a sibling, can recalibrate how you feel about yourself going in. That quiet reminder of your own worth has a way of dissolving the tension that would otherwise tighten everything up. And she'll feel that ease without ever knowing where it came from. When it comes to the actual experience you create together, move away from the conventional. Dinner and a film have their place, but predictable settings don't generate the kind of emotional charge that makes someone think about you for days afterward. Choose something that produces a real feeling, a spontaneous late-night drive, a salsa class, an escape room, an unexpected live performance. Emotional intensity creates lasting memories, and when you're the person who introduced her to that feeling, her mind begins to associate you with something vivid and alive. This is a documented psychological phenomenon called misattribution of arousal. Her pulse quickens in that exciting environment, and the brain links that sensation to you. While you're out together, let your confidence show not through what you say, but through how you treat the people around you. The way you speak to a server, acknowledge a stranger, or handle a small inconvenience tells her far more about who you are than any practice line ever could. Women are acutely perceptive about this. A man who is equally kind and calm with everyone he encounters, not performing for anyone, not adjusting his decency based on who's watching, radiates a very particular kind of trustworthiness. That combination of warmth and groundedness is quietly irresistible. When the bill arrives at the end of the evening, there's no need for performance. If she steps away for a moment, handle it then. No announcement, no gesture toward your wallet, no waiting to be seen doing it. Just take care of it and move on. What that quiet action communicates is actually enormous. It says you take initiative without needing recognition, that you're generous without requiring applause, that you lead without demanding authority over anyone. That is what real confidence looks like. When she comes back and realizes what happened, what she'll feel isn't just gratitude. She'll feel a kind of instinctive respect for your maturity, and beneath that, a sense of safety. At the end of the night, resist the impulse to rush toward a kiss or some kind of physical confirmation that it went well. That desperation, however subtle, undermines everything you've built. Restraint is far more compelling than urgency. Leave her with a genuine embrace, a sincere expression of how much you enjoyed her company, and just enough open air between you that her imagination has somewhere to go. Anticipation is one of the most powerful emotional forces there is. What is left unfinished draws people back. Let the night close with a question mark, not a period, and she'll find herself thinking about what comes next before she even gets home. Here's the deeper truth beneath all of this. Attraction isn't a performance. It isn't clever strategy or a perfectly timed move. It is fundamentally about who you are when no one is testing you. Most men focus outward, trying to capture her attention when real magnetism starts entirely on the inside. Women are instinctively drawn to men who are in the process of becoming something, not men who have everything figured out, not men who are wealthy or famous, but men who are genuinely growing. Men who are expanding their emotional and mental depth with intention. That's where a stoic mindset becomes quietly revolutionary. Stoicism isn't about being cold or emotionally unavailable. It's about mastering your own reactions, refusing to spiral after rejection, keeping your focus on what actually lies within your control, and maintaining your composure when everything feels uncertain. A man who doesn't collapse under pressure, who doesn't become erratic when things don't go his way, becomes something rare. He becomes someone worth paying attention to. Build that foundation in small ways every single day. Read things that expand you, move your body, set clear goals, and pursue them. Sit with stillness long enough to stop fearing it. Step away from the habits that generate anxiety, the endless scrolling, the comparisons, the noise. When you feel centered within yourself, the energy you carry into every interaction changes, and women feel that shift organically. Psychological tension is another layer worth understanding. It's the interplay between being fully present and not needing anything from the moment, between genuine warmth and an air of quiet mystery. When you're attentive without being desperate, engaged without being anxious, it creates a kind of pull. She starts to wonder what you're thinking. She starts to lean toward you instead of waiting for you to chase. Most men talk too much when they're nervous. They perform, they over-explain, they try to fill silence with proof of their value. The men who genuinely draw women in tend to listen more than they speak. They let their stillness and their eyes carry the weight of a room. Speak slower than you think you need to. Leave space between your words. When you do speak, let it come from something real. Your actual values, the things that genuinely move you, what you believe in, what you're working toward. That kind of honesty sets you apart from nearly every other interaction she's had. It can't be rehearsed. It can only come from someone who knows themselves. Emotional safety is the final and perhaps most important piece. If she didn't notice you before, there's a strong chance she simply didn't feel safe enough to open up to what was in front of her. Every small act of integrity you demonstrate, holding a door, truly listening, staying composed during disagreement, showing that you can be trusted with the small things, works quietly to lower her walls. When she begins to feel that kind of safety with you, she starts to see you with completely different eyes. Not the person she overlooked, but the person she wishes she'd seen sooner. Attraction, when it's genuine, is not about effort, it's about energy. You can send thoughtful messages and plan creative evenings and still leave her unmoved if the energy underneath it all is one of need. Calm, purposeful, self-assured energy does something that none of those things can. It draws without pulling. It invites without asking. You don't convince her. Your presence does that work on its own. Mystery, self-mastery, and emotional depth are not tactics. They are qualities. Cultivate them and let them speak. Leave her curious. Give her just enough to want more. Make her feel genuinely seen and respected and understood in your company. That is the foundation of real attraction. A woman doesn't want someone who tries the hardest. She wants someone whose energy makes her feel safe, beautiful, and more alive than she did before. So the next time you find yourself in front of someone who doesn't seem to notice you, don't retreat, don't chase, don't let resentment in. Stand straight, hold your smile, and let something quiet settle in your chest that says, "She doesn't know me yet." But she will. Become the kind of man who is impossible to ignore, not through performance, but through the calm and centered force of who you actually are. When that energy meets genuine curiosity, something shifts. And when it shifts, it tends to stay shifted. Bring it all back to this. What changes everything isn't a better line or a more impressive evening. It's the quality of your presence, the energy you carry into every room, and the quiet confidence you project even when no one is watching. Be present, keep growing, create small moments of real connection that leave her feeling safe, seen, and curious about what comes next. When you do that, the dynamic changes on its own. You stop chasing. She starts moving toward you. Trust that. Stand tall, keep the smile steady, and let the process do what it does. The man who pulls instead of pushes never has to wander very long. If this perspective shifted something for you, share it with someone who could use the reminder. Or drop a thought in the comments about where you're starting from. The conversation is always worth having.